self-conscious. Wow, it's like we're not even recording.
Absolutely.
All right, I'll do it.
That work.
And then this will be about where most editing coming. Well, I'll go do the 3, 2, 1, and say, "Hey, everybody, welcome to this completely planned out podcast."
Oh,
I think there might be a title or subtitle of Podcast Supreme,
supreme.
which
I like it.
I don't know why. I'm just always kind of thinking about the Well, two things come to mind. Got to be off on a tangent already.
Okay.
Well, obviously, a supreme taco. You know, I like.
I always get this.
With is that sour cream, right?
It's the sour. Well, if you go Taco Bell standards,
Taco Bell standards.
which I know isn't authentic.
No.
I'm just saying. It's sour cream and tomatoes.
Yes.
Because the regulars are the cheese and lettuce. So you gotta go supreme.
And then, have you ever seen the film Idiocracy?
I have.
Oh yes, with who was their president? Do you remember? He was a wrestler, played by Terry Crews.
I forgot his name.
Beef Supreme. President Beef Supreme.
Beef Supreme.
Talk about an underrated film. But yeah, welcome back.
Did Judge do that movie?
Yes,
See?
it was. He did, of course, Office Space, Idiocracy, and then have you ever seen Extract?
No, I haven't seen that.
That's like the other one he did after that, which is also a good movie. It's like they're in like a warehouse factory and some guy scams the company or something. It's
Is it a comedy? Or?
a dark comedy,
Okay.
but I think Jason Bateman's in it or somebody
Oh.
like that. Yeah. So anyway, welcome back. Summer returns. We're just gonna talk about some stuff.
We totally had that on the itinerary.
Yes.
We meant to talk about.
Yeah, it was totally meant to. No. Well, you know how it is. Don't know if the audio is going to pick up, but to start off with, apparently you just saw Detective Pikachu's trailer, right?
I did.
Recently. I'm just going to take a look at it because. Oh, wow. Actually, he's going to pick up.
I will say, you might recognize Pikachu.
Okay. I've heard of it. Pokemon. A British accent.
Tim, your dad was a legend in this precinct. If you were anything like your dad,
Oh.
I remember. You wanted to be a Pokemon trainer when you were young.
Yeah, that didn't really work out. Someone there?
Pull out a gun for a second.
Whoever you are.
Okay. Oh, it's Steve.
Know how to use this.
Jeez, here we go.
I know. You can't understand me. But put down the stapler, or I will electrocute you. Did you just talk?
Whoa. Did you just understand me?
Oh my God! You can understand me. Stop. I've been so long.
They try to talk to me all the time. All they hear is Pika Pika.
You can hear him.
He's adorable.
You're adorable. They can't understand me, kid.
Can no one else hear him? I saw
You know what I
Pokemon,
expected.
Period.
And what about a world-class detective? Because if you want to find your pops, I'm your best bet.
I swear.
We're gonna do this. You and me. There's magic that brought us together, and that magic is called hope.
Listen up. We got ways to make you talk.
Or mine.
Yeah.
So tell us what we want to know. Right. Yes. Okay. Can. Push it. The problem is that I push people away and then hate them for leaving.
He's saying you can shove it.
What? I can shove it? Okay, that's it. No, we're switching roles. I'm bad cop. You're good cop.
No, we're not cops.
In my head, I saw that differently.
All right, dude. I got some stuff to say. All right, well, you're gonna hold your thoughts, I guess. You wouldn't be curious about mine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys got to see that fresh. I don't do too many live reactions, but I'll let you guys know that. I don't know. When I heard the concept of Detective Pikachu, I thought to myself, well, I never really thought about it. This is like the first real like live action Pokemon movie. I didn't really register it, so that's why I thought, why would they pick off such a random, weird concept And I was like, and then people saw the trailer and it like blew up, and people were really excited about it. Like the reception was really positive, and I'm like, really? I didn't. And I've just been so busy the last couple of days. You know why? Because of work. So I didn't even get a chance to really think about it. But I mean, you saw my face. I think like, you know, the reason I think that's a wise move. I noticed something. Now I mean, I guess we can get us a little backstory. You gotta have to show me your side, of course. But I mean, I grew up with Pokemon. I loved it when I was a kid. I mean, I never really like played too many of the games, but I played some of the early Game Boy stuff. I loved the anime, the original cartoon. Had plenty of the cards, toys, whatever. But I feel like that movie seems to focus, from what I saw, mostly, at least in the trailer, with the classic 150 stuff we probably grew up with.
That's what it looks like to me, too, yeah.
They're trying to get the widest possible audience, so people might take their kids or their younger siblings, and the younger kids are already into it because it's Pokemon. So, that trailer, like, it's cute, but it seems fun, and it seems like it really, it's weird because it's almost like taking place, obviously, in a Pokemon-style universe, but kind of meta, too, because, like, but there's also this unique story where this kid can actually hear the Pikachu, like you always kind of imagined what Pikachu would be saying to Ash or something. It's Ryan Reynolds is actually saying it, and it actually works. I like the fact that Pikachu actually looks, like, fuzzy. Like he's got hair.
That got me. I'm like, wow.
And from what I understand, with animation, it's hard to do that. So they actually made him look like a fluffy mouse. And the humor was good. I liked the Pokemon I saw. It looks like there's some action and kind of like some legit drama and like a real story,
like
too.
A serious backtone, like trying to find his dad.
Like you know, in Pokemon, especially here, like the later games and the manga and stuff, they get kind of dark sometimes. I mean, I don't know if it'll be that dark, but I like the fact that it's like that balance of family. You know, and I'm like, I'll be honest, if the movie is the trailer, and I'm excited. That actually looks like it could be really good.
See?
What did you think, man? Second time through.
I thought the same thing. I mean, I wasn't keen on. I didn't know. Only thing I knew that there was a Pokemon movie coming, so I thought it would be another animated movie.
Yeah.
I didn't know it would be live action, and then so the first thing I saw was Pikachu, like how he looked. I was like, wow, he really looks like if these Pokemon were real animals, that's how they would look, you know, fuzzy and everything. And I definitely wasn't expecting Ryan Reynolds, and that's just awesome. I mean, you can't go wrong with Ryan Reynolds.
No.
He just knows how to deliver lines.
Yeah.
He has that uncanny ability to deliver lines. Like
Comedic timing is just on point all the time, you think?
Yeah, but he can also he can be serious too.
True.
He knows how to project. Like I guess if there was in this movie, probably won't be too serious, but there'll be action. He can say the line with urgency in the action part, and you believe it. So he's good.
Could it just be he's a really good actor then?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say so. Which was partly why I was upset of what they did to him in the first iteration of Deadpool and the Wolverine movie. But that wasn't his fault. That was, the choices. Yeah.
The choice.
He did well with what he could do. Same thing with Green Lantern, but I digress.
He's dug himself out of those those holes, yeah.
I digress. Yeah, obviously I felt the same as you. After I saw the trailer, I was interested. So I'm interested to see it. And I didn't even think about what you said about them doing the first 150 to make it more, to get a wider audience. Because at this point, like us, we're around the same age. Like we grew up with Pokemon around the same time. And children under us, like everyone in between, like young kids to us. And with Pokemon Go,
You're right.
more and more people are fans of Pokemon than ever because of that. Like,
You're right. Even people that might have been like our parents or grandparents might be like, "Ooh, let's go and find the Pokemon with kids." And this might go off into a side tangent, but it just kind of makes me realize like how amazingly big and successful Pokemon is as a franchise. Like,
I didn't realize it until Pokemon Go. When
that came back,
it was ridiculous.
you're right. People would literally travel hours to
In
find.
droves.
It's amazing.
It's a phenomenon. It was like haven't been around to witness a lot of phenomenons in person, but it was literally like when I went home, because I'm originally from Philly. So when I went home and I would go with my friends, all my friends, I did not partake in that.
Okay.
Pokemon Go, I just didn't. For me.
I didn't either, technically.
But my friends did. They were heavy into it. We'd be in group chats and they were talking about, oh, when we're going here, we're going to this place, we're going to that place.
Cool.
Oh, they just dropped this in this area, and I would go with them to see it, and you would see people in groups, droves, walking around looking, and people would meet up and talk. And like, hey, oh, what rank are you? And I got this, and I got that, and they said, oh, somebody told me there's a Machamp or something over there, and they would walk over there, and droves of people.
You know,
crazy.
it's interesting. I didn't really get to see too much. I have friends that did that too around here, but you know, it is interesting because they spread them all around the world. I mean, literally that. I mean, until like maybe technology gets even further, that is the closest people have come to actually being Pokemon trainers and going out catching Pokemon and battling.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that is really cool.
That is
unique.
like a childhood dream
come true.
Yeah, that they're living.
That's, you know, I didn't even really think about that. That
That's
is
why
awesome.
people were so excited.
That's awesome. And I think it's almost like that might have been one of the test runs, and it's kind of like Dragon Ball. It never really goes away, and it's like they test the waters, and then it kind of comes back bigger than ever.
Yeah,
you're right. I think this might have been like just another thing, and they know that they can take a risk on Ryan Reynolds voicing a Detective Pikachu, and obviously it's not the most fundamental Pokemon story ever.
Right.
You know, it's a little more sophisticated. So, but they're like, hey, we're gonna do it. And I mean, obviously, it looks like quality, I think, but they're confident, and it's probably going to do really well.
And I think it's the Detective Pikachu. That's another thing, because I've never even played the game.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. So don't ask me how close they'll be to the game. But I think they just picked that as a way to bring a live-action Pokemon movie to a movie, pretty much. Mm-hmm. Because I think if they went with the regular
universe, too cartoony, maybe.
I think so. And it may not. I don't know if it would. Yeah, I don't think it would. It wouldn't be. Maybe kids would love it, but it wouldn't get a mass appeal of just kids that just walk around and find Pokemon and battle people.
Like even in the trailer, maybe that's partially also with casting Ryan Reynolds. The fact that he just did the Deadpool movies recently, the humor seemed like it was like a little. I don't want to say adult, but mature. Some of it.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure there's going to be some adult jokes in there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I liked the like we saw with the Mr. Mind with him like going to deep therapy about his problems. Like, okay, that's clearly an adult joke.
Definitely.
That only a grown up would get. So I'm into it. I'm really into it. That's a good way to start off, man. I don't know if we're gonna top that. Because I'm gonna go straight into complaining about something.
Hey, well,
I did want to actually do kind of like a solo video podcast, hopefully before the month's over, but things sneak up on me so fast now. Fantastic Beasts, I guess 2, The Crimes of Grindelwald is out, which is the second of the spin-off prequel series to Harry Potter. Right. Now, apparently it's like getting like okay reviews. I don't think it's like...
I'm hearing okay to not okay.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anyone say it's great.
Exactly. But I saw Rotten Tomatoes quick, and I haven't looked that much. But the thing is, I grew up as a pretty big Harry Potter fan. I mean, I loved the books, loved the movies. And it's interesting, I think people are interested in the wizarding world. And I mean, that got people interested in the Fantastic Beasts, but I wonder how good the second one's doing, because I don't know if I want to say that I'm fatigued, but do you think they're reaching a little bit? Because for me, I don't know, like, the world of it is definitely interesting. And I know that there are people that would be interested in learning more about the world. But for me, the story was always kind of about Harry Potter and his friends. And I feel like that story is kind of done. It was fine. I mean, do you think... I don't know, I guess where do you stand on it? Because I saw the first Fantastic Beasts, and I thought it was, like, decent. I thought it was fine. I liked it. But I didn't have a burning desire to see a whole franchise based off of that.
I think, yeah, like what you said, I think it's nice to have a prequel to something that everybody loves, like Harry Potter. I think sometimes it's kind of like a gift and a curse. Sometimes when you get answers to questions that you didn't think you would, like if you would see like Dumbledore. Now I haven't seen either of the Fantastic Beasts, but Dumbledore's in it as
A young
Dumbledore. Yeah. So,
Yes.
So I guess that's cool because you can see like, oh, it's young Dumbledore, and maybe they may reference something from that you may recognize. So that's always cool.
Yeah.
But I think, like you said, I don't know. It would have been great as just this is its own thing, like just to give you another. Like, yes, we love Harry Potter, but this is Harry Potter entered into this world. There was already a world here. We're giving you a peek into what that was. But you know how Hollywood is. If it makes movies, there's going to be sequels.
That's true. But I wonder if this one doesn't do that well. Like, because remember they had this idea that I think they had like 7 movies planned out or something.
7?
Off of Fantastic Beasts. And I don't know if you know this, but the Fantastic Beasts, like that, it was literally just like a pretend guidebook.
That's what I was going to say. Now, pardon my ignorance, but is there a series of books of this? Okay, now that's another thing.
They're trying to base a whole another series off of like a little side mini joke thing, kind of. Like, you know how like in a fake universe you'll have like something within it. Like in Harry Potter, they might reference like a book from some wizarding author.
Yeah.
That was one of those books. It was published as like a fun little.
Now that you say that, that's a reach. To make 7 movies based off of that, I think that's another reason why Harry Potter did so well, is because you had the series of books, which were, you know, they weren't short books.
No.
Especially the later ones.
Yeah, they got thicker. Yeah.
And so you have all this material, all these characters that you grow with, and you flesh out and everything, and you get invested in these characters if you're a fan of the books. So therefore, when the movie comes out, you're just as invested. To make a series off of something that's just a pamphlet, it's pretty crazy. And I think the only way that it could have been done. Now, I did watch. I watched a review on it online, and they were saying that the way that it could have been done well is if you just do the same thing, like create characters in this world, new characters, that we can get attached to. Besides Newt's commander, that's the main guy.
Very good, yeah.
I got it right. Besides him, like more than just him, but create a great story, and then have the icing on the cake be
The references?
Exactly. But he says his gripe was the second one. It's the opposite.
Too much.
You try to make a movie based on the references, when the actual story that we're supposed to be entertained by is boring and flat.
I feel like that's a problem a lot of sequels and stuff run
I think
into.
so too.
Yeah.
They go what I call reference-itis. you basically rely on these references.
Remember this thing?
Yeah, like remember this? Hey, what about this? I know you know this.
Some people say some of the, I think, was it like Rogue One was like that or something?
Yes.
That had a bunch of those
Yes.
constantly.
And I watch a lot of movies and stuff. I appreciate it, but I also see through it. And I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't really like Rogue One. I fell asleep on it, to be honest with you. I did.
I'm so happy to hear you say that, because when I went to the theater, I don't know if I told you this, when we went to see that movie, because we try to see all the Star Wars movies together, this is going to be a tangent. Sorry about this organized section. When I saw Rogue One, okay, at the end of that, you know how it ends, like, kind of right after the horrible Princess Leia CGI face, and then the fight, like, and all the... I was laughing. I, like, was in maniacal laughter right as I was leaving. Like, I couldn't stop, because my mind broke, like, about how, like, ridiculously bad I thought it was. Like, I was just like... That's a whole side conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe later. But yeah, like, that's an example of, like, just taking something that was a line in another movie, trying to make a whole other movie around it.
Actually, yeah,
it's weak.
Exactly, that's what it is.
Very good example. Except
that
with
little bit, the little scrolling text at the beginning of
we secretly got these files. You know?
We'll make a movie based on that. Like, what?
I mean, I guess it's an interesting idea, but
it's
like
a nice concept. But to me, that type of stuff, the veneer or the shine, it wears off quickly. And then I could see, like, okay, this is just a reference. Like, we're only invested in this because
It's a thing we.
It's a thing that it's referencing a thing that we know that we really are fans of.
I think Star Wars fans get roped into that a lot, or they did up until recently with the Solo thing. I guess was that if it's Star Wars, we'll go see it and we'll go to just see the reference. But I don't know. Obviously, with Solo,
they could suffer the same fate. Like people were saying, like Solo was good, but I'm getting tired of Star Wars now. And same thing with Fantastic Beasts. It could be the same thing. Like I love Harry Potter, but it wasn't enough. Like just these references. Okay, young Dumbledore was cool, but I saw him in the first one. It could have just been that one movie. To make 7 movies based on this, and I hear that Johnny Depp is pretty good
as the bad guy.
Yeah, but I also hear that he's one note.
Pretty.
They don't really.
I mean, and let's be honest. I like Voldemort as a bad guy, but I don't think he's like the most complicated.
Right.
So if you make somebody that's less interesting than Voldemort,
yeah, right.
But that's a good point. I mean, like I'll probably see it eventually, but I was not excited about.
That's what I'm saying. But then those things I tend to put on the back burner. Like Solo. I haven't seen Solo either.
I'd be curious to see your thoughts on Solo. But once again, I'll tell you, man. I'll tell you right now. I think it's a decent movie, but unnecessary. Like everyone's like, do I really need to know how Solo and Chewbacca met up? Not really.
At this point, no. I mean, it probably would have been nice. Like
the mystery.
Yeah.
Like ooh, like what adventures?
There's so many movies in at this point. It's like, all right, they're best friends. We get it.
Man,
he speaks Chewie. We get it. That's just like if it's like 15, 20 years from now, and they make a movie on how Rocket meets Groot.
Oh, yeah.
At that point, we don't care how they met. Like they're together. He speaks Groot. We get it. Okay.
That's a fantastic example.
You
You're right. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
They're all. We accept that they're buddies. That's a perfect comparison.
See what I mean? Like it's. I really don't.
I didn't even see that. They are Han Solo and
Chewie. Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow, that's great. That's. You're right. I wouldn't want. Who
and
cares?
It's exactly like that because,
that is,
like in Star Wars, over time people understand Chewie, just like over time people understand Groot.
Because you can kind of read between the lines.
Right.
You get a sense of.
Us as viewers, we don't know what they're saying.
But we can kind of like we get it. Though.
Yeah.
Like he's making a snide comment or he's scared or
right.
Yeah, I got you. That you win that one. Hey, that I'm gonna. That is the.
That was
you blew my
off
mind
off the top of the head too.
Dude, that I never made that comparison. That's awesome.
You know.
Wow.
I try.
All right. Well, I don't want to complain too much. Man, this is gonna get into some. Like I said, we're gonna go up and down here.
Oh,
but,
yeah, we're gonna get heavy.
Okay, not super eventually, but I'm gonna call this section the DC catastrophe because we were talking about it. We're gonna hurt our one buddy just talking about how like, oh yeah, DC apparently has given up on their movies. Superman's gonna be on TV with Supergirl now, get his own show. They can do what they want now because from his perspective, it was like, okay, they've given up on the movies. We just saw an article about Ben Affleck leaving, not leaving, and you just kind of went like,
Yeah.
But then I also see we've got Shazam and Aquaman and we got movies planned. So we don't want to harp on this too much, but as it stands right now, I could tell you were exhausted even hearing like what is the deal with the movies?
Yeah, I mean because the thing, and I'm pretty sure I think we've talked about this.
This is
the
the main thing
like,
3 or 4 times.
Yeah. This is just the thing with Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck. They're in, they're out.
Well, Henry Cavill's out, right?
I see.
What?
I think he is, but I've heard reports that he's out. But then I don't know if this is DC saving face, and they don't want to say that he left. They're just saying they're not focusing on Superman at the moment. They're going to focus on Supergirl if they make movies with that type of. They're going Supergirl,
which means does that? But they're saying that if Henry Cavill's doing his Witcher show for a season or 2, he could come back as Superman if he wanted.
Maybe that's what they're saying.
Would he want to?
See, I don't know. Now,
I feel like people are playing with their contracts these days.
And that's what I'm saying, too. Like, I believe initially he did, yes, because in all the interviews he's saying, like, how he's attached to the character and he wants to grow with the character. And
yeah, he seemed like he was
into
into
a lot of
it.
story, that
like, I
he wanted
it.
to tell. But I don't know, maybe that changed. I guess it could be exhausting Like from what I can hear overall, Warner Brothers
is an exhausting company.
Yeah, they're doing the most as far as their involvement with the movie, so it could be exhausting, which could be a reason why Ben Affleck's done, because it's a lot of maybe back and forth. And
did we get a chance to talk about Chris Pine and the Star Trek movies? Because that floored me. You heard about that, right?
No, what happened?
Oh my goodness!
I don't think we've talked about it.
Yeah, I think I talked to somebody else about it, but yeah, that floored me. You know that the Abrams Star Trek movies are like in limbo right now.
Really?
Because Chris Hemsworth, who played Captain Kirk's dad in the first movie, if you remember, he was going to come back for some time travel thing. He and Chris Pine are out because they got
out of the movie.
They said they wanted more money. Paramount wouldn't give them enough, so they left it. So right now, the Abrams Star Trek movies are like
because you can't continue
without Kirk.
At least without Pine as Kirk.
And apparently everybody else is like they want to do, but like apparently there's still the Tarantino movies like planned, but there was another movie planned before that, and now so it's like with the Star Trek movies, I don't know what's going on. And I couldn't believe he did that. Like, and I'm like,
well, they should have known that Chris Hemsworth was going to ask for more when he did that. This is before Thor became.
Yeah, this is before he was Thor.
Yeah, this is so they had to know that if they wanted him back, they were going to have to.
And I was like, okay, that'd be cool if they got him back. But if they couldn't because they didn't want to pay him, fine. But Chris Pine?
Yeah, that's different.
Like, man.
That's Kirk. You can't have... If you're doing the Abrams verse. If you're doing that, you need him now.
Yeah, so I was like, you didn't hear about that.
But also, to their point...
Recast.
What else is he... Stephen Trevor?
Exactly. I mean, he's doing Outlaw King on Netflix.
I can see Chris Hemsworth... Yes, Hemsworth. His stock has risen, but
Chris Pine. So you don't think Chris Pine's the man right now?
Steve Trevor.
I'll be honest with you.
Steve Trevor. Thor.
And he was in like that one movie about the Coast Guard or whatever.
It must not do good because I have no idea what you're talking about.
But yeah, Chris Pine hasn't really done much outside of the Trek franchise.
See what I mean?
Maybe he wants to break away from it, but dude, you know how it is if you're an actor, right? You make the money stuff and then you can do whatever you want. But like, why? I don't know.
Maybe the only thing I'm thinking is if how many is it? 3?
Yes.
The first 3 was a package, and he signed based on that contract. And so this new one would be a new contract, maybe for another 3.
Maybe he didn't want to commit to that.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking. Maybe he didn't want to commit to another bulk. And I will say that if it was a contract of a bulk of 3 movies, his stock has risen from before he did those movies. So I'll give him that.
And he knows they can't make those movies without him.
And that's his bargaining chip.
So that's
his leverage.
That's why I think there's.
So I can see that part.
And it's interesting because apparently, Paramount has the rights to make Star Trek movies, but CBS obviously has the right to do the shows, which like in Discovery. So it's like they got 2 different fronts there. I personally liked Star Trek Beyond quite a bit, so I would have liked to see more like that, but I don't know. That's kind of in limbo.
That's interesting.
It is. So that's DC has this going
so it's
on.
something like that, but the difference is they have
at least other actors that want to do it,
right?
Whereas DC, it's like we don't know what movies are going to be good or consistent, or
especially at this point. I feel like I've heard good things about Shazam. I've heard mixed things about Aquaman.
Aquaman looks cool though.
A lot of people are saying, I have a couple of buddies of mine. They don't like the CGI, the water part.
You know what? I'm gonna give that a pass. Like I know, like at this point, I'm sure the visuals might not be like the best ever. It might not be Guardians of the Galaxy 2 here, but as long as the story doesn't suck.
And from what I'm hearing, the story's great.
Fine. The story's good. They make Aquaman cool. Like, look, if this movie can make Aquaman, who I'm sorry, has always been a fucking joke. If they can make him cool, I don't care how cheesy it is. I'll give them a point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's how low my expectations are now. Is that I'm hoping for the Aquaman movie, and I always say this. I feel like I'm going to say this now for years. It's going to be like, man, I'm giving up on DC, and then I'm going to see the next movie.
Yeah.
Because and you just said before this that you didn't think I was a DC fan. If if I was not a DC fan, would I do this to myself
Subject
every
yourself
movie?
to torture.
So, yeah.
So I think I think what they need to do. They need more marketing. I like them changing. It's kind of hard because DCEU is like ingrained in people's brains now.
But now it's the DC.
But now it's Worlds of DC.
Worlds of DC.
That makes sense because now you're saying Worlds of DC, so you're including the multiverse, which would explain
All the different styles. But you know what? I think you're right. I remember we talked about this before. That is good, but you are right. Where's the marketing? Because I keep forgetting about that. I still consider it DCU.
People still say that DCEU.
Maybe it's because the brand's too established now. I mean, DCU kind of has a ring to it.
And because it's close to MCU, which we're used to saying.
Yeah.
MCU, DCEU, it's close to that. So that's why, if you say Worlds of DC, that's totally different. And,
Is the Joker movie still happening, right? Joaquin Phoenix? Has there been any more stuff about it?
Not since that,
2-second
preview trailer with the
face.
Yeah, which isn't bad. It's hard for me to say where. It's hard to see where it's gonna go. You just know it's Joaquin Phoenix and Martin Scorsese.
I just want it to be straight Goodfellas.
So I'll put faith in it based on that. Just to see their take on a superhero world movie.
Yeah, that is different. Yeah, we'll put that on the back burner.
Yeah.
We talk about DC enough. I can tell you.
Catastrophe is still in limbo, and I'm still gonna be here for it.
Same here. But moving on to a much lighter topic, but not necessarily bad. I actually did a whole video with my other buddy, just kind of celebrating Stan Lee. Stan Lee finally passed away earlier this week, and
Well,
unfortunately,
we don't want to say finally like we were waiting.
No, finally, but I mean, you're a good point. But I mean, the gentleman was 95, and we knew he had health problems for a while, so we kind of the reason I say finally is because I don't know if I'm around morbid people, but like a couple of my friends are like, Stan Lee, he's gonna go any day now. Like my one buddy's been saying that for like a year. Jeez. Yes, and like, do we have to? Because I'm telling you, like, it's just like celebrity deaths or like all that come up in the chat anymore that I'm a part of, and that sucks. I'm like, oh, they passed. I just am so tired of hearing about that. But then it's like, oh, Stan Lee, and but I wasn't ready for it. Like I know that he was old, but I mean, it's just like Stan Lee is he's kind of like that grandfather, that you never had kind of thing. He's I mean, like I talked about it in the other video, so I'll let you talk. But basically, what I said was, through Spider-Man specifically and all his other characters, he impacted me before I even knew who he was. And then in addition to that, he was a person who loved what he did and loved his fans. And then he seemed like a cool guy on top of that. So I really admire Stan Lee in many different ways. But I'm curious, how did you feel about it? How do you feel about Stan Lee and his work and everything?
I'm a big fan of Stan Lee.
All right, well, yeah.
Because I was a fan of him before I knew who he was. Getting into comics and things of that nature, I grew up with these characters, and then later on, getting to know the backstory of him and Jack Kirby and what they did was pretty amazing, and to even from where they came from, like, because at the time you already had DC who was established, and then here come these two guys out of nowhere, and they're making these characters that are not like DC characters, and they're making them, and they're doing it their own way, and it's working. And to make iconic characters that are 50, 60 plus years old, and it's like they're still fresh. There's still movies coming out, still cartoons and everything still coming out with these characters. They're gonna live on forever, literally.
Yeah.
And that's just to think about the grand scheme of that, like to make something that impacts the world, not just us here in America, but people love these characters all over the world forever. Yeah. Talk about leaving your mark.
Damn right. Damn right.
And with me also hearing like how he would African American, like to hear how progressive he was thinking, in the '60s to make a comic called Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Like
Yeah.
to use to take the civil rights era and injustice and kind of twist that and turn that into X-Men with mutants. And,
Oh, big time.
and like just to hear the nuances of that, and even with little like within Black Panther and Wakanda and how people think it's third world country, but it's actually the most technologically advanced place in the world, and a lot of things come from there that we don't even know, and like just the implications of that. It's
just turning things on their head from expectations.
And when I heard about that, it made me respect him even more. And when you see him out, always to the point where I didn't even realize he was 95 when he passed.
Well, yeah, I
knew he was up there, but 95, wow, and he was still for his age upbeat.
Yeah.
And he genuinely loved what he did and loved the people that he impacted. It could have been easy for him to be like,
sit back.
Yeah, and be like, oh, thank you, but I had my time. But you could tell like he still loved it. And loved to see people's faces. And to them to tell, I'm pretty sure he probably got, oh my God, I was 6 years old when I first opened the Spider-Man comic. And he probably got those all day, every day. And he seemed genuinely interested and thankful that he could do that for people. So, big blow. But he will definitely always be remembered. Rest in peace to Stanley.
Yeah.
Excelsior.
Yeah, man, Stanley. What a great guy.
Yeah.
I mean, really, what more can be said? But I'm never tired of hearing more. But shifting, I mean, probably not the best segue, but like Ghostbusters 3. I just was skimming the articles, and I was just like, I mean, you said there was a script out there. I saw Dan Aykroyd talking to some. All right.
Yeah, supposedly he's co-writing a script. Supposedly.
Well,
for Ghostbusters 3.
It's Ghostbusters. It's a franchise that fascinates me because, all right, I'll say this to you right now. I like Ghostbusters, but I wouldn't say that I'm like the most diehard fan ever of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like some people are obsessed with it. They think it's one of the best movies ever. I think Ghostbusters is a good movie. I like it. I didn't realize until fairly recently that a lot of people don't like Ghostbusters 2.
Oh.
I always liked Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
And I've heard in like recent years, oh man, Ghostbusters 2, like back in the day, that was considered like, oh man, Ghostbusters is the best and Ghostbusters 2 is terrible. Nowadays, I think that's hilarious. Like, Ghostbusters 2 is like classic 2 in my book. But
I like them both.
And, well, obviously, leading up to the potential for Ghostbusters 3, it's been rumored. Did you ever play the video game?
I haven't, actually.
The video game is basically Ghostbusters 3 because I think it had all the voice actors come back with their likenesses and everything.
Interesting.
I think it was for like 360 or
I
something.
think I did hear that. I think that the script that they were going to use
was one that was on the table.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, if you ever get the chance to go back and play it or even watch a Let's Play, like it seems like a legit Ghostbusters 3.
Okay.
But anyway, for a long time, that's all we got. And I would have talked to you about this because you weren't here for my channel when all this was going on, but I did talk about it. I don't think I have ever seen, and this may not underestimate the impact of Ghostbusters, the hatred and the resistance to the concept of a remake of Ghostbusters at all, but also with women. Literally the most misogynistic.
That's pretty.
Like that's all.
Misogynistic.
And I consider, but that was only part of it though. Like I think on one hand there was the resistance to the reboot of Ghostbusters in general, but then also the fact that people didn't seem to think. But then other people were just claiming, it just wasn't funny off. But literally from the get go, there was so much hate to the point where it got nasty.
Yeah.
You know how it was for like a year. People,
especially for like Leslie Jones.
And I'll be honest, I remembered thinking like, okay, I don't know why they're doing this, but I liked those people. I like the SNL people. I know that you can't recapture Ghostbusters. I get it, it's a classic, timeless movie, but I was not that why were people so resistant to Ghostbusters, but they're so accepting of so many other things? Like, I don't know if you have a theory. I don't get it, but I know Ghostbusters fans are hardcore, but I didn't think that there was that much, and those like, you know what I mean? That
much
ugliness.
outrage.
That was. I've never seen anything else like it. Do you have any thoughts, theories, opinions? Because I don't know. I'm like, I did not get that at all. I was like, I thought it was fine. I was interested. I don't know. I was like, what the heck?
The thing I think maybe, just thinking
Please, I don't
here.
I don't know what you'll give me.
Maybe it's because not only that, because they were all happen to be, except for Melissa McCarthy, but she's been on there a bunch of times. Saturday Night Live, they're under the umbrella. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Because Melissa McCarthy was never a cast member, but she's hosted like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, I didn't know she never was a cast member. Okay.
But she's been on there a bunch, so
With
she
them.
knows. Yeah, she's familiar with all of them.
And was it her director she works with? Didn't he direct it? Was it Feige or what was his name? The guy that what's his name? She's like they worked together. And
Yeah.
he was on. It was like her movie.
Yeah. I can't think of his name.
That's terrible. But yeah, her buddy. They're
Right.
that team. Yeah.
Um,
Come on, Patrick, while you're talking.
I think maybe that's what it was. Maybe they thought that because right now, even Saturday Night Live, they have their die-hardcore audience.
They still do. That's true.
But I would say that it's not held in the regard as it used to be. So think back to like Saturday Night Live movies. You thinking like their last big heyday, maybe the '90s. Think about their movies then. Night at the Roxbury and Superstar. Like that was it. But think about that time. All those movies that came, ladies. There was a Ladies Man movie. There was a Wayne's World 2. Like that was a little before that. But you know what I'm saying. Like
you're right. The SNL movies, well, they really usually don't do that well. And I keep your thought here, but you did make me realize something. I didn't realize this. They were trying to kind of emulate the biggest stars today, like a female cast, these big comedians, with back then. You had Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, like these guys. They were the funniest guys of their time. Some of them. So, and Eddie Murphy was also supposed to be in there too originally, until they got Ernie Hudson. But did you know that?
No.
He did. Yeah, he was supposed to be the fourth Ghostbuster.
Yeah,
but yeah, they were trying to go for that almost SNL of the time. So
right.
I didn't realize that in a way Ghostbusters is kind of an SNL movie. Interesting. That's interesting. Okay, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, so like, and if I think it would have worked back then because back then SNL was like really high. I think as the time went on, like now it's not like I said they have their core audience, but it's not held in high regard like it was then.
The competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that was maybe it because now it's seen. It's like not to the general public. It's like who are these? Could be people that don't even know who they are. Like Kate McKinnon.
Oh,
She's been in a couple movies, but you would never like. But she's hilarious.
I loved her in Ghostbusters.
She was
I like
hilarious.
her in general.
She's hilarious.
She's great.
Leslie Jones. Not too many people.
She's funny.
People they may not know who she is. I know she's from being a stand-up comedian. I like stand-up comedy, so I was familiar with her before she was on SNL. So,
Oh, nice.
And people would. That's why I would say maybe Melissa McCarthy was the biggest one. The big draw.
I guess Kirsten Wiig was like
She's
fairly.
She has been, fairly. She's been in other movies and stuff. I would say so fairly.
Bridesmaids with
Yeah.
Les McCarthy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that could have. Yeah.
Probably the.
So and that's a good point too. Maybe they were going for another Bridesmaids type of vibe there.
Yeah.
Getting those two back together, and that could have been. But with the SNL thing, people maybe thought like, "Oh, what is this?" Because I'll say, when I first heard about it, they were doing it, and that it was going to be the late. My buddy showed me the screen, like I guess the
Screenshot.
Yeah, of the sets of them filming. I thought it was an SNL skit. So for the longest, I didn't even think it was real.
You thought it was like a joke.
I thought it was a joke. And that could have been other people's thought too. That like, oh, this isn't real. They wouldn't do this. This is a joke. And then when they found out it was real, it's like it turned into like from disbelief to disgust. Like, oh, this is ridiculous.
Like I remember a lot of people I would talk to would just be like, "Oh, the trailer just doesn't look funny." I'm like, I thought it looked. It seems like different humor than the first one.
It definitely is.
But I don't know, and that's I know humor is subjective, but it's just. And I don't know if you really answered. I mean, I guess you said it was because of the SNL resistance.
That's what I think.
So you think of the S, but dude, the hate, like it was
I don't
so.
understand why it was so strong because I still saw the movie
Like why?
and it was better than I thought it would be.
But even like established people, like internet personalities that review all these sort of things, would like protest it and not go see it.
That's a little much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
And it could be, you know how people get with
Nostalgia.
Yeah. Like I watch. Have you watched any of the new Charmed?
There's a new Charmed.
See, there it is.
What?
Yeah, there's a new Charmed.
When? Where? When? What network?
It's on the
What?
CW,
Oh.
and it started this
What?
year.
Ah.
It's probably 4 or 5 episodes in, or something like that.
All right, I gotta let you know something, dude. I don't think I've ever seen a full episode of Charmed,
Ah,
but I know where you're coming from. Did you like Charmed? Yes, you did.
I did, yeah.
Well, I really like Buffy and Angel, so
Okay.
but I got into them late. All right. Sidebar. If I like Buffy, do you think I'd like Charmed? Because I've heard some people say it's like Buffy, but not quite as good.
I would say yes, only because they have like, you know how Buffy was. They would make you would be like in these dramatic, serious scenes with like goblins or whatever, but then have funny moments too. So it's
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
So I could see the comparison that they would do. Now, I've heard nothing but, and to me, I don't mind the new Charm.
Okay. But some people.
They don't like it. They say it's ridiculous. Why would you bring it back? Why is outrage? Like,
Why not? It's CW. That seems perfect.
that's yeah. And a lot of people are rebooting shows like
Riverdale's.
yeah, it fits. That's why I can see why they did it.
I didn't know about that. Okay.
And to me, so far, there's only like little subtle differences from the original. And to me, if you want to be honest,
Okay.
the original Charmed shouldn't even happen
What?
because you're not familiar because you say you didn't watch it, but
Okay. Well, please explain. I don't get it.
the whole thing about the Charmed, the three sisters, there's a you know how it is.
The
There's a
seance.
prophecy.
Oh yeah.
That the three, the Charmed
Trinity,
ones,
yeah.
they're going to be the ones that save the world.
Classic fantasy mumbo jumbo.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
So
The tropes. Yeah.
they are the ones that will save the world from the demons or whatever.
As you do.
Yeah. So, but then Shannon Doherty left the show. So now what do? Now I see why they did it. It was a hit show. You can't just stop the show. So they bring in Rose McGowan, and they say,
Everybody's favorite.
"Oh, wait a minute! There was another sister. She's a half sister. So there's still 3. However, that would mean, looking at the camera, that there's 4. So they would not be the charmed ones because there would be 4 and not 3. They're not the charmed ones. So that show shouldn't have happened.
So by the rules of the show, they were incorrect the whole time. And
Absolutely.
It's some other 3 girls we never meet.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what it would be. And at least
That's funny.
The new one, I guess they kind of realized that because they start off with it's 2 sisters and 1, oh, we have a sister we didn't know about. So then she comes in, and now there's 3.
So in a way, from a writing perspective, that actually makes more sense than the first one.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Huh.
But people don't think because of nostalgia. They don't even think
Nothing
about
could
that.
be different.
Yeah, because actually, when Rose McGowan, it lasted another 2-3 seasons.
Yeah.
When she got on
To
it.
be completely honest, that's the thing I know the most about Charm. Is she was kind of one of the big draw for a lot of people. Was like
Yeah.
that she was there. So
So, and
it's funny. All right.
when you think about it, it shouldn't have never happened.
That's funny.
The show shouldn't have existed because they're not the charm ones.
But getting back to the topic.
Yeah,
of,
but I say that to say it's all nostalgia. People, when you think of something through nostalgic lenses,
yeah.
it becomes better and everything's better. And how dare you try to even touch this to make it better? Or insinuating that by rebooting it, you're trying to do better than before,
Or hurt,
or try to tarnish
insult
the original. Yeah. So that could have been it too. It could have been like, oh, you think that if you make it for women, it's going to be better, or it's going to be funnier, or you think just because these women are on SNL that they're funnier. So I think maybe it's a mixture of all that.
It's just that's interesting. You know, and I swear there's probably got to be a study or something someone should do because to figure out that bubble of media hate feedback from fandom was really unique, dude. But as far as Ghostbusters 3 goes, I guess they figure, well, since no one wants to touch that again, I'm surprised they even want to do it at all. Like, because they can't because Egon's passed.
Oh yeah.
I always forget his name, and I hate to admit that because I know that.
I struggle too sometimes. Actually,
I forget
it's
the
been
actor's
a while.
name.
I haven't seen him.
I know his name. Harold Ramis. Harold Ramis. Okay. Okay. Yes. Loved Egon. My favorite Ghostbuster. But you know, so can you really do it without him anyway? But so I don't think.
And that would be the big challenge, yeah. Because if you're talking Dan Aykroyd's doing it, I assume he's trying to get Bill Murray.
But you know,
and
Bill Murray's
Hudson back.
I feel like Ernie Hudson would come back because Ernie Hudson, you know, he likes to do it. He likes to jump into things.
I don't think he would object.
If there's a steady paycheck,
I don't think he would object.
I think that's him. Bill Murray's tough to fucking.
Yeah, wasn't that the issue with the third one? Original.
That's the reason why it never happened because he refused, and Harold Ramis died, so it'll never happen. And that when I found out about that, I was upset about that because that was before the new Ghostbusters came out, and I was like, man, there'll never be another Ghostbusters movie. And then, so anyway.
But then he made a cameo, so he didn't want to do a third one. But
they made those weird cameos.
I didn't like that. I didn't like.
I did not like those cameos.
Either have the connection be stronger, or don't have them in it at all.
Like,
don't put them in there as these stupid, nondescript
characters
that they didn't have to be.
Almost seemed like they were making fun of the whole thing. And,
yeah.
You know, and I thought that was mean spirited. But you know, the obvious thing, if they could have gotten them to do it, is like get the 3 Ghostbusters, have them, like in the game, train the new Ghostbusters. In this case, these women, and to take over. Obviously. And the passing of the torch, and that would have solved, I think, a lot of the problems because it connects them.
Yep. I don't think people would have had an issue.
Not as much, but maybe not completely out of their hands.
And that could have been another thing. Maybe they felt like they didn't have the blessing of the original Ghostbusters.
Not completely.
So therefore, I don't like They didn't bless this. They're not in it. They're not going to be their characters. I don't sanction this. I'm not going to support it.
So weird. but for some, that's Ghostbusters fandom. Moving on, I guess. This was funny. Okay, we saw a little video going back to Marvel news. Apparently, John Cena is saying he might be doing something with the MCU, and he showed a picture of what was a Captain America shield.
Yeah, with some slashes over. So very vague.
Very vague. So,
vague.
What were your theories? Were you thinking voice work or something? You thought it might have been voice work.
I was thinking maybe voice work. I don't see a lot of people were saying Cap because it's a shit, but I don't.
No, too obvious.
That's too obvious one. I don't see him being. If Chris Evans, he said he's done. He said he's done, right?
I think after this next one, I think he is done.
After the last
Infinity War Part 2.
Yeah. So they're not gonna have recast. There's gonna be enough in the comics. It's either gonna be Bucky or
Punisher.
Or
Falcon.
Falcon. He was Captain America at one point.
It's kind of gone around.
Yeah. So any of them, it's gonna be one of those.
What do you think it will be? Actually, I think it's gotta be Bucky.
I think so. Yeah. Because he's the closest
to the Cap.
And it's canon in comics, so it's the easiest choice. Because right now it's just weird. They did make a little nod to the White Wolf, but that's because they just call him that. It's not like he had the actual suit on like the White. So they can easily just forget that like they do. Sometimes it's big details that they just
skim over.
Yeah, but. So I don't think it's anything like that. If anything, maybe it'll be in another game. Maybe they may do an Avengers video game, and he's Cap.
That would be cool. I can see that, or an animated series, maybe.
Could be.
I remember you were thinking animated movie, but I think animated series would make more sense.
The Marvel tends to do more animated series than for some reason Warner Brothers can get those right way more than they get the live action movies.
Yeah,
right.
the DC animated movies have generally been pretty decent.
Yeah.
Over the years.
Not to say that they're perfect.
No, the last handful I haven't liked as much, but compared to their live action, it's like
right.
night and day.
So that's what I think. Maybe like a voice in a video game, if they have, or if, like you said, animated series. I don't think he's gonna, or maybe. Let's see now, because Chris Evans is leaving. Unless he's maybe he's gonna be in the next phase of movies, but not as Cat, but as something else. You know, like he's just in it. Maybe another villain.
I was thinking I could see it maybe as a villain, maybe a Cat villain of some kind, another Hydra person. You know, random theory: does John Cena still wrestle? Does he make appearances?
He does. He's not as prominent as he
used
was. He was the face for a long time. He's not. I mean, he's still prominent.
Is it possible he could come back for some weird like promotional match and dress up as Captain America?
He could.
I could see that.
He
right?
could. I feel like he could be another one that's on like the Rock status, like Dwayne Johnson.
He just show up.
He just shows up randomly. When I think is at the one when he feels like I feel like wrestling.
Sidebar:
I pop up.
I didn't really grow up with wrestling, so it's kind of been slow for me to like really understand it. But I've slowly grown to have like this sort of fascination and appreciation for the art form. It's very interesting, and I kind of wish I could get more into it. But God, what was it? I'm losing my thought here. Partially. Have you seen the show Glow at all?
I haven't, but I want to see it.
I was getting interested a little bit, just mostly like videos of people talking about wrestling. There's this one guy, I think his name's Super Eye Patch, does really good videos. He mostly talks about anime, but he talked about why he loves wrestling and the storylines, and I was just like, that's interesting. So he kind of got me interested into it because I never thought anybody look at it that way. And I watched the show Glow, which is fascinating.
It is good.
That is like I love Glow. Glow is one of my literally. This is a show that takes place in the 80s about women's wrestling. I was not interested at all. I wasn't, but the girlfriend was like, yeah, Orange is the New Black because she loves that. Let's check it out. Same people. It's one of the best written and it's a comedy, but it's also like a lot of serious stuff in it. Cause it's like based on something that legitimately happened.
Yeah.
I was like, that made me appreciate wrestling a lot.
I actually remember
that.
Yeah, like I was a kid. I remember there was a Glow, like there was a Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. I couldn't tell you matches and people in it.
It's not like exactly like plot, but it is based on that. But I just think it's really awesome. Like it's really I'd recommend it. But yeah, anyway, I just think that's something that I have seen to appreciate more. And I'm getting to my point here. Have you seen the trailer for Fighting with Friends, Fighting with Family?
Yes, I did see that.
I was like, I want to see that.
They make it look good.
That looks pretty good.
Look interesting.
That looks interesting.
Now me, I did grow up with wrestling in the Attitude Era, as they call it. Stone Cold, Triple H, that era.
Everyone tells me it's not as good as it used to be. So I hear that all the time.
I would say no because a lot of the things you can't do you can't do now what they did then.
Okay.
Even from the type of matches to the WWE divas, they can't do that sort of stuff they did.
You'll have to explain that to me. The rhetoric, I don't get it.
The divas were like.
Were they the ladies?
They were the ladies.
Were they more scantily clad than they would be now?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Like now, it's like I hate to say it, like more legitimate. Because that's how they treat. Like before, I would say.
Are you talking about clothes or just general appearance? Because I have seen like more clips. They don't seem to be. From what I remember watching briefly when I was a kid, they don't seem to be quite as more genuine looking women than they were before.
Right.
Is that what you mean?
Like I think it's taken more like
a little more.
Now I won't say the women didn't take it serious then, but I think that the company is like. Now the women's belt is a lot more serious, things like that. They don't have like bikini matches.
It was more.
They actually had bikini matches, and
it was a little more Sexist is what you want to say.
Yeah, pretty much.
I got
like
you.
they had wrestling matches in gravy. It was around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I don't think they can really do that now.
Yeah, they can't do any of this. Now it's, more that's what I mean when I say more legitimate.
So you think it's better now because they didn't do that stuff then? Is that what you're saying?
I feel like that part is better.
Okay.
And I think it also depends. It's like perspective. Like, because if a kid's growing up now, it's just as exciting as it's ever been. But to me, I think it was more exciting then. But that could be me thinking through nostalgia, being a kid and growing up and watching it. But some of the moves, even the wrestling moves, they can't do now back then because they're too dangerous. Yeah.
Okay.
They crack down on that type of stuff, which rightfully so, because people have gotten hurt. Unfortunately, been seriously injured or died. But just that type of stuff. And I after a while, I stopped watching it altogether. I recently just started watching here and there and getting back into it. So I'm familiar. I say all that to say I'm familiar with Paige. I know who she is. She's one of the top female wrestlers.
Okay.
But I wasn't there. I didn't see her from beginning to now to see her rise and all that.
Interesting. Well, all right. I have a question for you. Completely unrelated because I don't know. But do you have a favorite wrestling storyline from an era that you would like? Who was your favorite wrestler? Your favorite matches? I don't know. This might be Greek to me, but I am curious.
A lot of the stuff. That's what I said. Like a lot of the stuff was just crazy.
I was told some of them were good. I mean, I've always been told, just because of the stuff I like, that I would probably really like Kane and The Undertaker, those guys. Because they had weird mystical stuff or whatever.
Yeah. And then they had the story in their brothers, and, that I did like that. If you wanted to go, I didn't realize how comedic they could make Stone Cold. Because at first, he's the menacing guy, and, he doesn't really give a fuck, and he's, throwing the middle finger and drinking. That too, just that, him throwing the middle finger, walking around, getting up on the ring, someone throwing him a beer, him slamming beers.
Being the bad guy, you have to tone that down now too.
Yeah, a little. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And from his storyline to that, to him being more comedic with his rivalry with Kurt Angle, which him, even after he retired, with him doing what? Just simple as that. Like him acting like he couldn't hear Kurt Angle. So whenever Kurt Angle would talk to him to argue, he just would cut him off. What? And he would keep making him repeat himself to the point where the audience started doing that.
Interesting.
What? And to the point where after Stone Cold stopped wrestling, anytime Kurt Angle talked regularly, that became a thing.
That's interesting.
They still do it now, even though they're not. It became a thing in wrestling.
And that's the thing about wrestling that fascinates me is just the way the audience kind of interacts. It's like its own form of theater, like vaudeville, it's really interesting.
It's weird some of the stuff that goes on, that like the stories, and you do get caught up in it, And I respect when people say it's not real. I respect that it is. To me, it's real. I say it's real because what they're doing is real. Everything they're doing is real. You have to be an athlete to do the things they do.
Yeah, when I was on the outside growing up, I was like, well, wait, that's not real wrestling. That's all fake pretend. How can you get into that? And then I just realized when I slowly started to learn some things. I think my first real insight into it was the movie The Wrestler, which, as you know, is a pretty dark look at it. I'm like, huh. So wait, and then I learned more slowly. Wrestling, it is an act. It's like theater, but it's also like these are all stunt men and women
pretty much
that have to pull off these amazing feats to make it look like they're acting, but they're also performing like they're actually fighting without getting hurt. And that is impressive.
A lot of times that is difficult to do something right so it doesn't hurt them, but then make it look like it hurts.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And a lot of times with these moves, one wrong, if you put your knee down in the wrong spot, or if you put your arm up a little higher, you can seriously injure somebody.
That's the thing. They rehearse, they practice.
Yeah.
It's all an act, but that's awesome though.
And that's what I say. That part, the only thing that is the outcomes for the most part are predetermined.
Yeah.
So they know who's winning.
It's scripted, kind of.
Yeah.
So,
but you take a chair to your back, you fall on some barbed wire, see how you like it, and then get up and still jump around and throw people around like. And those are people you think about the people who are in those lower wrestling that are trying to get to that point, and they're doing all this crazy stuff
to get noticed.
Yeah, think about that. And how many people do this because they love it, and they never get to that point.
That's true.
They put their bodies on the line literally every night.
Because it is also about like what you can sell, what you bring to the table, your character, your stunts.
Absolutely.
And if you don't get enough traction, it's kind of like, well, then you don't ever get elevated. Because they'll work around you. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, I am on the outside.
Like the wrestler. Like, he was in the low level. Look at how much he put his body on the line.
He'd be like a local, like one of the central PA.
Yeah.
He'd be one of those. People go out to see him. And this guy, like, he's trying to get noticed. He's getting messed up because he's still, like, in his 50s.
Yeah.
Trying to do this, like, there's people like that out there.
Absolutely.
And I mean, like, that's
real.
That's intense. But, anyway. We got all that from John Cena.
I do want to see Fighting with the Family. I think John Cena's not going to be Captain America the way people think.
I agree with you.
Yeah, so bringing it back.
Bringing it back. True. Good conversation, though. Spider-Man game, we were talking about briefly.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that game.
It's awesome. It is pretty. It's awesome. Like, not only the things you can do in that game, that's awesome. Everything like this. So many suits.
Go let him talk.
So many suits. I haven't even gotten. I didn't play the whole thing yet. So many suits. Every suit has a different attribute.
Different skills, different equipment.
And I do like that you can interchange it. So say if you have a suit that you like,
you can just
switch the attributes because you hate the suit but you like that attribute. Mm-hmm. Everything's customizable. Basically.
So customizable.
And the story.
The story's really good.
The story's good. It looks great. Man,
like,
I don't know.
That's it, man. Like, I'm really enjoying it thus far. I've just been so absorbed into that game. Do you think the swinging is the best? Because I've heard a lot of people say they felt like the swinging mechanics. Like, I do like swinging through.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Like, I just love the movements. I love the momentum. And I love the fact that if you run into a building, you can just literally run up it.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to let it stop you.
Yeah.
I like that. It's not a big issue. So yeah, man, I like that. I like it a lot too. I think I'm like a third of the way through it or something, but it's really good so far.
Even the graphics, like even just little things, like say you have a suit on, you change your suit, you have that suit on in the loading screen.
Yes.
And they put so much detail in it, in the loading screen was free. You can see the different textures of the suit, like what part is like woven and what part looks carbon fiber. It's so much detail. It's crazy.
You know what? Minor aesthetic thing to kind of complain about, which I think I'm going to blame the Amazing Spider-Man for those movies because I like them. But as far as costumes go, I think that's the first time I ever saw Spider-Man wear like shoes. And I know that it probably makes a little more sense. I think Superhuman, it doesn't really matter so much. But I don't know. Do you think they look kind of weird?
Which on the Amazing Spider-Man?
Well, like even in this game, all the suits have that he's wearing like shoes in his suit. Like he's got like boots that are kind of like a part of it, as opposed to just wearing like the being spandex over his foot.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's a thing that I've noticed they've been doing a little more lately. I don't know. Do you think that looks cool?
I think certain ones do that fit the suit, but I think it's practical because obviously you would have to have shoes. Now, granted, especially him.
You
Like
think
you would,
Spider-Man would need shoes?
yeah, you would need footwear.
Definitely.
So I think they pulled off a cool way to make it look cool without looking like he has on a boot, a pair of red boots.
It's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
I just it stood out to me. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been good. Yeah, we can wrap it up with a few little pieces here. I guess Batwoman is coming.
Batwoman's coming.
Ruby Rose.
Ruby Rose.
I like Ruby Rose.
I like her too. I haven't seen too much Orange Is the New Black. That's what people love her from. I know her from John Wick 2 mostly. She was pretty good in that.
I saw her in that and Triple X 3.
Oh yeah, she was in
She was in that, and I also saw her in the Meg.
Haven't seen the Meg.
Meg was fun. Meg was fun. She was like one of the scientist ladies.
Oh really?
I don't know if I think she's a great actress, but I like her. I don't know. She's cool.
I feel like she can pull it off. This Batwoman, I think she can do it.
The image you showed me, I liked the wig. I thought she seemed like she looked good in the costume.
Yeah.
The stance.
I think they're doing pretty like she looks like
Sandra Kane.
Yeah, looks like Batwoman, even in the set photos. So I'm interested.
All right.
My interest.
All right, and just briefly, man, I was curious. Like, I haven't seen any of it. I mean, I know there was the infamous, fuck Batman. But how has Titans been from your perspective?
Actually, better than I thought.
Really?
To me, it gets better every episode.
What?
Because now it's to the point. I think this is they're on episode 7.
Wow.
7 out of 10. I think they're doing 10-episode season.
Okay.
And it's because you're getting to the story, like you're getting to the point where things are coming together, things are happening, and it's pretty awesome. Like I would say, as all origin stories, it starts off slow because you're just introducing these characters. But now I'm to the point where they're all together. They're technically the Titans now.
Okay.
And it's really good. Like I think that there was a lot of shock with the fuck Batman, but it makes sense
In context?
in context. Yeah. Like and they introduced it like I had never heard of Doom Patrol.
You never had.
No, well I heard
think
the
they were
name.
in,
but
they were in Teen Titans.
I heard the name, but I haven't been. I'm not too well versed in it.
I thought they were in the cartoon actually. Huh. I could have sworn they were. But yeah, go ahead.
Teen Titans are go.
I thought they were in. I thought Doom Patrol was in the first Teen Titans cartoon.
Because I haven't seen any of them go.
Well, I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah.
So apparently they're gonna cross over.
Really?
That's what I heard. Yeah,
Interesting.
they're gonna bring back the old show and combine them.
What?
Apparently. Apparently.
But Doom Patrol is good. There's a whole episode about it. There's a whole Hawk and Dove episode.
Nice.
I understand it, but just certain little things like they make Hawk. I'll just say that they make Hawk and Dove like regular vigilantes, like they're another Robin, so to speak.
They don't really have
They don't
superpowers.
have powers when they really do.
They do.
Yeah, but they make it. They're just and it's Hank and Dawn, not Hank and Don, the original.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it's Hank and Dawn. So, and they're just vigilant. They're not. They don't have powers.
So you didn't particularly like them very much.
I like them. I just wish they would have had because it's not like I could kind of see like at this point. I don't know how deep you want me to go, but
No, I'm curious. I don't know. It'll probably be a while before I watch it, if I do.
They don't go like Beast Boy. Like right now, he can only turn into a tiger.
Oh.
So it's just a green tiger right now, and I get it. It's probably
Budget.
exactly. So they just keep it to the tiger.
That's a little disappointing.
So that's why I'm thinking like if you were to give them powers, it's not like they have crazy powers. Like even Starfire, her powers, her and Raven's powers would be more than Hawk and Dove. Like because essentially Hank just has super strength and he has some healing factor. And Dawn, super speed, how she had like intuition, sort of a Spidey sense. If you will. So I feel like that would be easy to do in terms of, I don't know, maybe it's just a creative choice. They just wanted to keep it vigilante.
Do you think they maybe did that just to make the Titans seem a little better by comparison? If their budget was limited anyway?
That could be it. To make it seem like, okay, these are the only people with
These
powers
in this particular section.
Because a lot of the people who you see with powers, they're limited, at least right now, in the story. They don't use them too much. Even because Starfire, she has amnesia, so even her, when she uses it, she just does one thing.
So she's kind of limited with what she can do right now.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. So even then, and Raven, she doesn't even know what's going on with her. She just knows that she can do some stuff.
Huh.
So, yeah, it's all like even with the people with powers, they're limited at this moment.
Interesting.
But story wise, it's good. Action is great. I like it.
Well, I'm curious. What is it on? Is it the DC
It's
streaming?
the DC, the DC Universe, their streaming service. I had to do it. 'Cause, and there is a Doom Patrol series coming out.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of like a
Preview.
Yeah, of the people that's going to be on it, which it was pretty good. So based on Titans, and I'm a Young Justice fan.
You are.
So
that's coming back too, right?
Yeah, so that's another reason I had to do it. A new season of Young Justice. And so I think they're off to a good start. You know, it looks way better than I was skeptical seeing those set photos. But
everyone was.
Yeah.
But you know, it's refreshing to hear that somebody actually likes it. I mean,
it's grown on me. Like Starfire's grown on me. Because I get it. Like she can't be orange all the time.
Well, I think she would be orange all the time. But maybe it's harder on the actress to keep her makeup for every.
Yeah, and I mean they do make her orange when she uses her powers, so I guess that's something.
It's kind of like in the X-Men movie with Halle Berry when Storm, her eyes were only white when she was using her powers.
Yeah.
But remember, I think at least in the anime, she always had the white eyes, which is, it's really cool looking, but probably really freaky. If it was all
probably,
the time, like, hello. Like, it was actually kind of weird, Storm, but.
And those contacts would probably be
that'd be
difficult to wear all day. Yeah.
I feel like now they could easily probably CG around it, but maybe then it might have still been a contact.
Yeah,
that was almost 20 years ago. Yeah. True. Well, man, could it be a record? No. Not. I think it's been worse.
No, I think was that our first one? We almost hit 2 hours.
Almost.
It was like an hour 45 minutes.
All right. Well, if you're feeling like it, you want to have this one little last discussion.
We can do it.
All right. Well, this was ironically the idea I had on the back burner, like if we couldn't think of anything. But clearly, we never run out of something to talk about.
Yeah.
But this is kind of more of a general discussion, kind of related to comics. When it comes up a lot with most superheroes, actually, is the whole no-kill rule, which I guess philosophically they're always trying to say, hey, you don't want to be like the bad guy. You don't take a life. You're already rolling your eyes right now. But obviously, they're instilling with kids. Generally speaking, the superheroes don't kill people. Now, Batman's no-kill rule seems to be the one where people get the maddest about when he breaks it. More than pretty much any other hero, even though you think with Batman being the darker, more violent guy, you'd think that it would be okay. He tortures people and does weird things like that, and people seem to be kind of okay with it, think it's cool. I admit I did. I was like, Batman's cool. He makes you wish you were dead.
Yeah,
but
he beats people to they're almost dead.
They're almost dead and messes with them psychologically. Yeah. Batman does some messed up things to the bad people, depending on the version. But when it comes to him killing, people seem to be always freaking out about it. Remember when Batman v Superman, I kill people, whatever. That's always been a thing. But I remember people asking me questions about it sometimes, why doesn't Batman kill Joker? Why does he always come back? And you even remember I brought this up a couple times that it annoys you. That like for certain things that annoys you. Tell me a bit about it. Tell me about your thoughts, because this has come up even with the comics, the cartoons, and I'm sure we'll talk about it. In comics, there's a reason. Outside of comics, there's a reason, which is what I always say. But people are never satisfied with that. But I'm just like, we'll get to it. So, tell me, why does this bother you so much, especially with Batman? I just think you mentioned it with him, and I was like, come on.
Because I feel like it's just, I mean, like you said, there's a reason, so I get it. But practically, in the real world, I always say if I had power or if I was a vigilante, whatever, I would be an anti-hero. Because I wouldn't kill, I would say I wouldn't kill every criminal.
Okay.
But when you get to those type, I probably would never have any arch nemesis. I'll say that.
You wouldn't let it happen.
No, because it wouldn't get that far. Like if you're robbing a lady and I catch you, all right, I'll just let the cops arrest you. I'll leave you. But if you're, and if I guess with these in this world, like the superheroes, they know who these people are. I guess it gets to a point where the same repeated, it will get around. Like if you keep doing this, there's not gonna be like there wouldn't be a Joker like basically a terrorist.
Yeah.
He keeps getting out. He keeps getting out of the insane asylum and killing multiple innocent people for no reason, just because.
Joker is like that combination of serial killer and terrorist. He's like the worst thing you can think of. And it is interesting they bring it up because it is frustrating that in the comics they have to almost write around it like Joker's broken out of Arkham Asylum for the 500th time and has killed another 300 people, Batman. It's like, how could I? When will be the time? Like, how many times are we going to do this? Like, yeah, Batman, how many times are you going
to that point.
You going to let this like it would get to a point where you're like, he knows it too. So
yeah, and he does stuff purposely like, okay, now I'm going to see what your breaking point is. Yeah, it's going to be my personal mission.
Yes, Batman.
To see what, and that's why in some of the versions of the DC movies, animated ones.
Yeah.
When he does kill him, he like smiles.
Yeah.
He's like, I got you.
He's just trying to break him. Yeah. So it's like it's almost like that inevitable point that in some potential future stories, alternate futures, Batman usually kills him. Like it gets to that.
It
point.
has, yeah.
It's
and I would assume, especially like what is that, Earth 2?
Yes.
Thomas Wayne Batman.
Yes.
He's an anti-hero. So, I'm pretty sure he killed the Joker.
Do you think Joker is the one exception, though? Do you think that Batman should make an exception for him in this scenario? Or do you think that there are other villains that he should say, okay, after whatever the number of times you've tried this, okay, I'm putting you away for good? Do you think there's other villains that would kind of be in that category? Or is Joker just kind of, he's too much? And I remember in Red Hood, that great speech where he was like, I'm not talking about this guy or this guy. I'm talking about him. Just him.
Yeah.
After what he did to me, put him away. Like, how could you let him out again? Like, is there anybody else, or is it just the Joker?
I mean, he does have some pretty messed up. He has his rogues gallery, as they call it. It's pretty dark.
Yeah, it is for sure. Probably the darkest. Anyway.
Like Black Mass is pretty.
He's messed up.
Yeah. Killer Croc too, honestly.
He eats people.
Yeah. But see, stuff like that.
Where do you draw the line? I guess is the question.
That's the question. And
that's why he doesn't do it.
And that's why I would say. Okay, that's why I said the Joker, because Joker has proven there's nothing you can do. Like you put him in jail, he's getting out.
I'll never be rehabilitated.
You put him in insane asylum, he's getting out. Like everybody else, it seems, well, for a certain time, they, Killer Croc, Black Mass, they have been in the insane asylum or the jail. They don't get out, is what I'm saying.
Joker's the guy that breaks out and breaks everybody else out.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, do you think it's that they just kind of try to write Joker almost like he is a force of nature more than anything?
I think that's what it's become, though.
Yeah, and some people complain about it. Like my one buddy, he's he's always kind of like tired of the fact they always bring up the Joker versus Batman thing and the killing thing. Like you just don't talk about it. Like that would be the smartest thing to do because we all know what it is.
Because it's like a paradox.
It is a paradox.
Yeah.
And but I mean that is an interesting question though. Is like okay, let's just say Batman did kill the Joker.
Right.
Okay, fine. He made that exception. He crossed that line. Would that be like? How do we know that Batman wouldn't cross the line again? And that's why he always kind of justifies it to himself, I guess. That maybe he could just kill all. Like, why not kill all?
Well, yeah.
That and I guess
I could see that theoretically.
And I know it's annoying, but
yeah, theoretically, that's why I said that there's a reason. Like, because theoretically, if once he crosses that line, then
why not?
It's a slippery slope. I'm gonna just do that with any criminal.
But of course, that is the moral reason, and I guess it's interesting for conversations. But I always like to tell people, well, guys, the real reason he doesn't kill the Joker is because why would the comic book industry want to kill off the popular villain? There'd be no more comics.
Yeah,
itself.
Absolutely.
That's the real reason.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's literally, if there was a way to make it more finite and there are certain versions, sure, he'll kill him. But these characters, thing about the way comics are is they're meant to be recycled. Mm-hmm. So people complain about the status quo not being shaken up, but to a certain extent, that's the reason. I guess that's no fun of an answer, but that's what I always kind of end up saying. Like, no, he can't kill the villains because you got to have bad guys to fight. And then he can't risk making new ones because the old ones are so popular they sell, I guess.
Yeah, because it would be a gamble, like trying to make a new villain and they don't take off, and you had one that, was gold and you killed him.
Yeah, I mean, they do that sometimes, but it is hard, I've noticed, to create new original villains or heroes in comics. Like, they mostly stick to the same basic ones.
Yeah, because especially now, because it's like, okay, people are familiar with these people. They may throw, I think they throw villains here and there out, and if one catches, to see if one catches. Mm-hmm. But they always have the popular ones in the back pocket, because they always bring them back out.
Like, I don't know, what's the most recent new villain or hero that you remember? I mean, this is probably bad, but I mean, the newest one that I can think of in comic, well, Hush, I guess, for me. Batman, I guess.
Yeah.
But he is still early 2000s at this point.
The newest one that I
That's
again, I'm not too well versed in comics, but from what I'm hearing with my friends who are,
okay,
would be Godspeed from Flash.
Okay.
And he's like really new, like within the past few years.
And I know that in the Spider-Man game, I don't know if you've met him yet, but there is a villain that is behind the thing that is a fairly new Spider-Man villain.
Okay.
That's become kind of popular, and they put him in the game, and he is cool.
Okay.
But I do like him. But my point is there aren't that many new additions, it seems.
Right.
And even if they are, it's like another Spider-Woman or Miles Morales, another Spider-Man,
Yeah.
or Iron Patriot, Iron, there's the Iron, what's her name? There's Iron Man's, who's going to take over perhaps?
Oh.
What's her name?
Riri.
Riri.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but even that's still kind of, the same.
Yeah.
So it's not that much of a branch out because I guess of marketability, but that's why I think that Batman doesn't kill the Joker.
That's the real reason.
That's the real reason.
It's all money,
It's all money. But do you think you should kill him? Honestly, if I was Batman, I'm surprised Batman hasn't done it already. I like when he chokes him out. And there have been comics where he's about to, and then somebody tells him not to. Like, dude, just maybe that's the end of Batman comics then. Like he's like, I've done, but I don't know.
I think now he can't kill him because now it's to the point where he's done so much and he hasn't killed him.
It's like, why did you kill him all this time?
Yeah, if you kill him now, then that means you're insane now with him.
Because you allowed all those people to be killed.
Right.
So it's almost like if he did kill him now, it's almost like, well, then what the heck was I trying to fight for? What was I trying to prove this whole time?
And now you would be just as mad as Joker is, which would be what Joker wants, which would be why he won't kill him.
Which is what, because he doesn't give the Joker
paradox we have.
and that's why Heath Ledger was like, "This is what happens when unstoppable force meets an immovable object." Mm-hmm. He was right, and I know they were being a bit on the nose as they were in the Dark Knight, but that sums up the Batman Joker relationship, for any great hero villain relationship is that eternal struggle between good and evil.
Right.
You know, to leave it off on something light. But I don't know about you, man. I'm getting tired.
Hey.
I think you are too. I think we got a good hour and a half. But
Good content.
thank you. I mean, and hey, I appreciate it. And you know, I'm telling you, Detective Pikachu, I am so excited. I'm looking forward to it. When is that coming out? I totally missed the date. Sometime next year, right?
Yeah,
Next summer or something?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, man. Well, all right, everybody.
Purple Cup.
He's got the purple cup. WBC Cyborg is returned again. Thank you once again.
Of course.
And everybody, of course, any comments or questions, thank you for watching or listening. And we'll see you sometime later.